Hey everybody, I hope everyone is enjoying their Labor Day weekend. It's a nice Sunday night and I'm hearing thunder in the background, and it puts me in mind of the hurricane that is approaching Florida, the East Coast at this time. But I just wanted to do a video quickly about, I just released a novel of mine titled Sum of a Life, and it was written in 2007, and it's part of my Selfhood series, Selfhood trilogy. So if you've been following, my novel titled Marlis is from the trilogy, and that's book 3, and now I just released book 1. Now people might wonder, why didn't you release them in order? Well, they don't need to be read in order, so that wasn't important. And honestly, I just read, or rather released, what was convenient for me. So Sum of a Life is, it builds a synergy with that of Marlis. And then the book in the middle is actually book 2, is the longest book. That's titled Sounds with Song. I mean, that's like the longest book I've ever written. That's like 135,000 words. So, I think I might, plan to release that next year or so. I've now released, my goal is to release about 3 manuscripts per year for the next few years, because I have a backlog of so much stuff, and then it's good for me to do so because then it allows me to, touch it up and proofread and things like that. So, okay, so Sum of a Life, I explained in the introduction, is that the thing is that the book sort of jumps back and forth through time, childhood, adulthood, and the narrative builds on these separate sort of vignettes, and they're all kind of, they can almost be read independently, but they build as you read them. So they compile this sum. And also, there are moments within the book where it goes outside the first person speaker, notably like the speaker who's standing in for me, and you get some glimpses of some lives of some other characters, notably some characters living in South Florida. Mostly, I was addressing a lot of like the poverty I had seen and things like that. So, but as you read it, everything kind of coheres. They all meet up. You're going to see it. So it's sort of like little separate vignettes, and then they all cross paths. And if I wasn't going to think of a more poetic title, like if I wanted to be more bland, actually a title that's more bland for this book, but actually it would work in a very pedestrian kind of way, would be Lost and Found. Seriously, like Lost and Found, because the character feels she is lost and kind of doesn't have her way, and then over time comes to identify with certain aspects of herself, and then she sort of finds her answer, although she doesn't know exactly what it is. And this is illustrated by the literal representation of a character who, you get to know him, he loses something of his, and she finds it. So all the characters that as you read the book, they all connect up in some way. Like, you'll see them again, and they all relate to the main character. So, thus composing this sum. So it goes back and forth from childhood to adulthood, adulthood only being about, say, her 30th birthday. And it's very different from Marlis, which is basically told in present tense, very intensely, her first year of college, but then there are flashbacks to her youth. This goes back and forth between past and present, and memory serves a strong force in this book. And book 2 of this series, so the middle book, as I just said, is the longest book, and that that will be the center. And you know, depending on what people want, I could release it next year. I also, you know, I haven't released the other novels within my American Earth trilogy. Books 2 and 3, I haven't released them. I just simply haven't gotten to them, and largely because they are early books, so they, in my mind, require a little more attention and a little more. Um, you know, I just need to clean them up and make sure everything's cited. I hate, I don't want to release something that I don't know what's there. And it's funny because I released this, and a part of me, you know, I see the growth that I've had since I wrote this, and I wrote this in some of a life I wrote in 2007. So this is a 12-year-old book. So of course I'm going to have growth from then. You would hope so, but it's also in a sense frustrating because I'm reading over older stuff and I look at it and I go, yeah, you know, I'd have done this differently. But I mean, that's why that's why you create and you write in the time you do, because would I write a book like this now? No, but that's why I wrote it then, you know. So as for my current work, you know, basically this weekend I'm going to do some reading, but I my focus was just to release this book, just to get this out. And so now I've reached my 3 books for this year, and they are all very female driven. Both this book and Marlis are female characters, and Admissions and Uncertainties is a short story collection, very female heavy. So no one can say I don't write from the female voice. I do very well. And you know, if I release the middle novel of my Selfhood, that's a long one. So I mean, again, that'll take some time, and I'll have to balance it out with maybe another short story collection or something. It just depends. It just depends. But currently I'm about at 95,000 words in my current novel, Still Amid the Lotus. It's just, you know, I'm savoring it and writing it slowly as I can, because I know once I finish it, I always feel kind of a loss once I'm done with a certain work. So I'm savoring that. But I've gotten it thus far where I need to, and then we'll reread it. Also, I'm reading more Thomas Merton. I'm reading his letters, which my friend Peter sent to me, and in addition to that, you know, noting the Criterion films that I've been watching. There's so many good films on that channel. I just absolutely love it. I mean, Filmstruck was like out of a scale 1 to 10, Filmstruck was an 11. I would say the Criterion channel is about a 9.5. And the only reason I give a slight edge to, you know, it's not quite at Filmstruck's level, is because Filmstruck had the T. Turner Classic Movie, so it had a little bit more. And it's weird because I actually find myself, I mean, yes, I watch the Criterion films, but I actually find myself watching these like old films, like Barbara Stanwyck films, or things I would never see, I get to see. And I go through these phases where in 1 week I'll watch like 5, and then this week I haven't watched any. So I'm thinking tonight and tomorrow I gotta watch at least something. And then I watched a couple Japanese films. I watched another Kurosawa film, an early Kurosawa film, and then I watched Ichikawa. I watched him. I mean, there was a time when I was writing my Japanese series, my trilogy, like all I watched were Japanese films for like 4 years. I mean, here and there I might have had an exception, but everything was a Japanese film. Now, as much as I still love Japanese cinema, I watch it more sparingly because, my book, you know, I kind of moved on to India. And so I watched the Japanese films, and but not quite as intensely as I might have done a number of years ago. So it's just interesting to note that progression. There's so many films I just wish I could see, and I wish, you know, I mean, I work full time and I do my writing and I gotta maintain a house and I got things to do. You know, I wish if I could just read and write all day and watch a film in the evening, I would love that. And Ironically, tonight it's a little cooler than it's usually been. It's actually very pleasant, so I might sit out here for a while and read. I get some really good ideas when I read Thomas Merton, and eventually my future video that I plan to discuss will be the Merton books that I think you should read if you want to read him, because he always gives me ideas. And also, I plan to do a video in time on. I just wanted to do one on narcissism and emotional manipulators. And for a long time, I've been wondering how to approach this, because I didn't want to make a video that was, oh, here's me, and here's the shitty things that someone has done to me. But I just wanted to kind of share a little bit of my experience and my insights with regards to that, as well as the website I read on narcissism is really excellent. H.G. Tudor's Knowing the Narcissist site, very well written, very smart guy, and he's a narcissist himself, and he gives great insight into why people behave the way they do. And so I wanted to share a little bit of my experiences with that. Detached. I had to wait a number of years and enough time to feel that I could be detached enough to share it. And, just sort of like following up on, this has always been a subject that's interested me. Like, I have my earlier video on Ted Bundy, and I found that very interesting, and it's just a subject that's always kind of not only interested me, but also one that I have personal experience with. So I thought that, I could give some insights, and maybe it might help someone else, or lead you into the right direction if you are having some concerns, but also, shed some insight on that. So this is my iced tea. I actually made it from loose tea. It's rose iced tea. It's very good. It's very light in color, but so far I've had a nice weekend, and just planning on relaxing tonight, do some reading, and maybe watch a film, and then tomorrow I got just other chores and things like that to do, and we'll catch up on other things. But okay, enough rambling from me. Also, I'll have some Enneagram topics in the future, but Sum of a Life, I'm going to put the link there, and then I'm going to even have a picture. I think I'm going to take the picture of where that takes place that's mentioned in the book, because it did really happen. There's an instance in the book that really happened, and I thought it'd be interesting if maybe I have to take a picture of that, but I will share it. So, Sum of a Life is available on Amazon, $5.99 for ebook, $8.99 for paperback. Give my book page a look, and and I will, just going to be updating it over the years, add more and more stuff. So I would be interested in any thoughts and any insights in that. So I think that's about it. I can't think of anything else other than say, maybe I might do another video on a follow-up with regards to my workout routine. But that has been going well. I mean, I sit here and I think, what could I talk about and what could I say? And I have so many ideas, and then when I come out, I'm like, oh, they're just inundating me with these sorts of topics and things like that in my head. Anyway, so I think that's about it for right now. So I thank you for listening. I will be in touch in the next month. I'm going to do some more stuff. So check out the book, Sum of a Life, ebook, and paperback, and I'm going to include the links so no one gets confused or lost. And that'll be it. Maybe also I'm going to do a video on some more emotional stuff. I'm going to talk about some feelings that I have with regards to books I release, and attention and noteworthy stuff as that. But that'll be in time. But in the interim, I thank you for listening to my rambling. I hope you all have a pleasant weekend, and I'll be in touch. Thank you for listening. Bye.